Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and I'm very excited to give you this huge book haul. It's a bit overdue. I've been meaning to do this book haul for a while. I've got a lot of exciting books to talk to you about here, and yeah, without further ado, let's get down to these books. First of all, we have She's a Haunting by Trang, and I'm very excited to read this one. This is a like sentient house story where we follow our main character. She's in a house in Vietnam and she's kind of warned by this ghost to not eat the food. She's like living a life with her sister and trying to like reconcile with her estranged dad, and it just sounds like it's going to be a sentient house. I've never read a sentient house that's in Asia before. The cover is gorgeous. I heard good things about it so far, and this is one I'm very excited to get to. So when I went to visit Hannah in Oxford, we kind of exchanged some unhaul books, so some of those unhaul books will show up throughout this haul, and two of the books that I got from her are The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive Book 1, Part 1 and Part 2, so it's like one big book that's been split into two, so it's more readable. I've only read one Brandon Sanderson book ever, and that was Final Empire. So I've read the Final Empire and I really enjoyed it, and I've got the sequels, so we'll be reading more Brandon Sanderson. I was impressed with his world building capability and how it was like kind of plot based but still had balanced characters in it, and so I just decided to pick these up on the opportunity that I could get them for free, so that if I become more of a Brandon Sanderson fan I can just keep reading. We're very excited about this review copy as well. This is Space Crone by Ursula K. Le Guin. Now Ursula K. Le Guin is a very well known science fiction writer. Her science fiction books are quite famous for how cool her concepts were. I've read some and really enjoyed them as well, and I think she was just really, it's just really thought-provoking getting to read her science fiction, and the concepts are just so wild to me that I really enjoyed them. And this is a collection of her essays which have to do with her thoughts on feminism, on environmentalism and other things that she feels like she needs to talk about. So I've never read any non-fiction by Ursula K. Le Guin, but I think it's going to be just as radical and just as important as her science fiction was, judging from the concepts and ideas that she talks about in there. So I'm also really looking forward to this collection, and this shade of purple for this book is lovely. I love this shade of purple. I hosted a giveaway on my account for A House with Good Bones by Kingfisher. Unfortunately that giveaway is closed now, but part of hosting it I also got a copy which I'm looking forward to reading, so thank you to the publisher. I really enjoyed What Moves the Dead by Kingfisher, and then when I heard about this book, which is a horror novel that has to do with like a haunted house, sentient house vibe, I was all about it because I tend to really enjoy those kind of books, as you can see from the first book I talked about in this haul. So I'm really looking forward to reading more from this author. I do love a good horror book, and I'm looking forward to diving into that side of my reading a bit more. So I've been racking up points, and it finally came to the point where I had a gift card for £2.50, and I got One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid for free. I pretty much picked this up as soon as I finished Daisy Jones and the Six. I've been telling myself not to buy any more Taylor Jenkins Reid books until I'd read the ones that I owned, and now I had. I've read both now, The Seven Husbands of Emily Hugo and Daisy Jones, and I enjoyed them both a lot. So the next one I want to try is One True Loves. I love a good love triangle. I feel like not that many people love a good love triangle anymore, but as long as you give me a good reason for a love triangle, I will like it, and this sounds like a jolly good reason to me. So we're following our main character, and she falls in love and she gets married to this man and she adores him, and he is the best thing that ever happened to her. She's so in love with him, but then he is in an accident. I think it might be a helicopter accident, and he is nowhere to be found. No one ever hears from him, and it's determined or like decided that he died in the crash. So she's kind of grieved him, she's struggled on for these years since his passing, but she's a young single woman, and as time goes by she starts to get back into dating, and she meets this new man, and she really likes him, and they seem to be getting along, and she seems to be opening up to him. And then at that moment her husband is found and returned from missing, and he comes back expecting to be able to be met with his wife, but now she's kind of started on with someone new. So there's a bit of a love triangle going on, but I feel like it's gonna be a really interesting one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Taylor Jenkins Reid handles this story. The Trees Grew Because I Bled There by Eric LaRocca. I really enjoyed Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca, which is another one of their horror short story collections. As you can see, I love a good horror book, and so I'm looking forward to this new collection of their horror stories. They get some of the best creepy artistic covers, and I can't wait to dive in, especially as short stories have been my thing lately. Oh, I am super excited about this book, and I can't wait to tell you about it because I don't think enough people know about it. And that is The Last Count of Monte Cristo by Ayize, Jama-Everett and Tristan Roach. Thank you to the publishers for this one too. So this is a retelling graphic novel of The Count of Monte Cristo, but it's Afrofuturist and the Count is black. What? What? A sci-fi Afrofuturist retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo. Give it to me. I'm so excited, and I've taken a peek, and the artwork and the colors in the artwork is so stunning. I'm so excited. I love reading Afrofuturism, and I just cannot wait to see what a retelling does. I also think having the Count be black, like a black man who was falsely imprisoned for several years, just makes so much sense to me for the story itself, and I would love to see him get revenge. I'm so ready for it. I feel like I've half fallen in love with this book and I haven't even started reading yet. And again, this is another one that I'm going to be reading very, very soon. I might have finished it by the time this haul goes up, not gonna lie. Okay, so publishers, thank you for sending me Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. This, I actually haven't read the synopsis of this one. Catriona Ward is a thriller writer who's filling up the space. This is their third book, I think, and she writes really good thrillers apparently, and people don't want to tell you too much about the plot of her thrillers because apparently that gives the game away, and that's why I haven't even read the synopsis. I don't want to know. I've heard they're dark, I've heard they're creepy, and I am continuing on my quest to delve more into the thriller genre, read around in it and see what works for me and what doesn't, and this is going to help me on that journey. I am looking forward to it. Another publisher one, this is a proof copy of Nick Blake and the Remarkables by Angie Thomas. So Angie Thomas is venturing into middle grade, which I find very, very exciting. I love Angie Thomas's young adult books and have read 2 out of 3 and really 5 stars adored them, so I can't wait to see what she does with middle grade fantasy, especially as I have been loving reading this genre this year. From Hannah's Unhaul, I took Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman. Capote, I've been meaning to read this for a very long time. I've seen it in shops and always been tempted, but just haven't found the right chance to get it, and now I get to get a copy for free from Hannah's Unhaul. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So this is the book that the film is based on, and I watched the film a couple years ago and I really loved it. I think Audrey Hepburn is stunning. I don't actually even mind this being like a film adjacent copy with Audrey Hepburn on the cover, because that just makes the cover beautiful, if you ask me. If you're gonna have a person on the cover, let it be Audrey Hepburn. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I wonder what I'll think of it. I know Truman Capote is like one of those authors who's got a huge reading list and you can read a lot of their books, but I haven't read a single one and it doesn't even look that long, so yes. Then thank you to the publisher for sending me a finished copy of Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer, which is out now in paperback. This is one of the best books that I read in 2022. I cannot recommend it to you more. I read it in hardback, and this is just a beautifully emotional story that's written about a woman who has had cancer and survived it and come through it, but now her cancer has come back, and it's about dealing with those feelings of, yes, the cancer's come back again, she's got a husband, she's got a child, she's got a best friend, and how it affects all of those relationships individually and collectively. What makes this book so unique is that the cancer has a point of view, and you get to see things from the cancer's point of view as it's like moving through her body, and it's written in a way that really suits the story, and it's talking about regrets, it's talking about the highlights of life, it's talking about, you know, knowing you might be absent for parts of people's lives who you love and who you are close to, and it's just such a journey that is well worth you going on. Please, if you haven't got to this book in hardback, get it to it in paperback. A different Hannah, this is Hannah from Perusing Hannah, was also unhauling, and I nabbed some books from her unhaul. So I nabbed from her unhaul You Had Me at Hola, and also A Lot Like Adios, which is both by Alexis Daria. These are romance books. Yeah, that's it. That I really have nothing more to say. I have heard good things about them. I'm looking forward to trying them. Sometimes I read a romance book when I just want to be happy, because they make me happy. Sometimes it's nice to read a happy ending, and I also love it when they touch on different topics. So I think this has like Latin American rep in it, I believe. I could be wrong, we'll find out, but yeah, it just sounds cute. Cute romance, can't complain. Thank you to the publisher. This was a surprise for me, but this is Throwback by Maurene Goo, and it actually sounds so good. So this follows a teenager, it's young adult, and she is the daughter of a first generation like woman who has moved to the States, and she is struggling to get along with her mother. Her and her mother are not getting along, and after a particularly bad fight she just wants to get away from her mother, but she ends up being thrown back. By thrown back, I mean throw back in time to the 90s, where her 17-year-old mother is trying to become prom. So she kind of is interacting with her mum as when her mum is a teenager, and kind of experiencing things through what it's like for her growing up, and that's going to probably shape and affect their relationship when she returns back to the present time, I'm assuming, I'm hoping. And I'm looking forward to reading this because it gives me Freaky Friday vibes, the vibes where you can only understand your mother when you've gone back to her time and seen what's going on, but also it might be something where the mother kind of learns a bit more about her daughter too. Looking forward to it. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Anything that messes with timey-wimey stuff, yeah, timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly stuff, I will read it. And speaking of young adult contemporary, we have Yolk by Mary Kay Choi, which I took from Lizzie's unhaul when I was in Oxford. Lizzie from Bombadil's Bookish Thoughts. I want to read something by Mary Kay Choi. That's all I have to say. I think she's like one of those young adult contemporary writers where I've seen a lot of her books over the years in people's wrap-ups, and they always sound good to me. Would I be able to tell you the synopsis of this particular one? No, but I feel like every time people talk about her books, they tend to enjoy them if you're a young adult reader, and so I've been meaning to try something by her for a long time. And the way this cover is done is really cute, and I'm looking forward to reading something by her. Right, okay, I just briefly glanced at the back, and it's about two sisters and one of them gets cancer. Sounds like it's going to be emotional, but also sounds really like a book for me. Hannah, perusing Hannah, unhauled The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, and this is like a science fiction-y cli-fi book, so like climate change science fiction, which has to do with sisters. And my older sister read this and she really liked it. She's like, my older sister reads more science fiction than me, and she's really good at picking out good sci-fi books, so I really wanted to try this one after it came with her recommendation. The cover is stunning. It's literally a work of art. I saw this artist on Instagram and it's literally a work of art. It's beautiful, and I hope that I will really enjoy the story too. I've seen mixed reviews from other people, but I trust April. I trust my sister. We have an exciting upcoming proof from the publisher. This is The List by Yomi Adekoke. So this one is talking about a high-profile journalist from a magazine, and she is just like young, beautiful, successful, and going about her life, and she's got a husband and they just seem like couple goals. Everyone's impressed by them, but then one day she wakes up to a message that they both receive, and it says, have you seen The List? So it sounds like The List is going to be a groundbreaking thing, maybe a revealing thing, and I wonder what it's about. I need to read to find out. So we've also got Brown Girls, and thank you to the publisher for this one. It's about a group of black women who are growing up in the US, and they are friends with each other, and it's about what they experience living in New York as they come of age. So it just sounds like it's going to be about friendship, like black girls who have a friendship. And you know what? I need more books like that in my life. I need more books about black female friendship. I want to just take it and eat it and soak it in because I need that. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one as well. I love this paperback cover. I think it beats the hardback cover by far. So if you haven't picked this up in hardback, paperback cover, the way to go. This is like a very late received birthday present from one of my friends who couldn't make it to my party and who I only was able to see fairly recently. He's one of my childhood friends, so he's like been there since I was reading as a child, so it was really sweet to get a book from him. And that is the Monjin Murders by Saishi Yokimozo. I've actually got another one of the books that is in this series on my shelves already, but this is like one of the shorter ones, so maybe I'll start there. And it's set in historical Japan and a murder happens, and yeah, it's a murder mystery. Hannah from Lodem, again, one of her unhauls is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. I've seen this book around on blogs when it first came out, and I've been meaning to try it ever since then. It is one of those books where it's got black main characters and zombies. And I see a lot of zombie books, I read a lot of zombie books. Have I read a zombie book with a black main character before? No. So that is going to change, and I'm looking forward to that. This was a lovely surprise from Daniela from Only If for a Page, and I really wasn't expecting it. On the gift note she said, is it a late birthday gift? Is it a housewarming gift? I'm going to count it as a birthday gift because then it doesn't count to my TBR challenge. I'm going to be sneaky like that, and I think Hannah will be fine with it. And so this is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Laurie Gottlieb, and it just sounds like a really interesting non-fiction book. It's written by a therapist, and it's talking about some of her experiences as a therapist, but she herself as a therapist feels like she needs to go and get therapy. So it's about her experience as someone on the other side of the chair as well, who's experiencing therapy, but also someone who gives therapy. And I just think therapy is a wonderful thing, as we all know. It's a very useful tool to a lot of people, but getting behind the seat and seeing what really goes on with therapists and what they're experiencing and how they can work through their own trauma while helping people with theirs is just something that interests me. It sounds like a very interesting thing to read about, so I'm looking forward to reading Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. I was so excited when I discovered this book on Instagram, so thank you for the publishers for sending me a copy of Searching for Juliet by Sophie Duncan. So this book is a cultural, historical and literary exploration of Juliet, the birth, the death and the legacy of the ultimate woman in Shakespeare's tragedies that people seem to know. And I think it's not just going to the text that Shakespeare provides and talking about Juliet in that sense, but it's going through some of the cultural depictions of Juliet that we've seen over the years and what Juliet stands for and what Juliet means. And I think that is so fascinating because this tragic heroine has been transformed in so many ways and so many depictions, and I think there's so much we can learn from how we perceive and see Juliet. I would love if there was a book on like literally every single one of Shakespeare's characters in this retrospect, but Juliet is a great place to start, so I'm really looking forward to looking at this. If you don't know, I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare. I'm a massive Shakespeare nerd. I really love his plays, and so lately, as I've read all the plays now, I've been enjoying reading non-fiction around his works. In Nightfall by Suzanne Young, what a stunning cover. So I have been meaning to read Suzanne Young for years. I remember she was really hyped on the blogging community back in my early blogging days, and she's come out with several books since, but this is the first one I've got in physical form, and it sounds wonderful. I think it has something to do with vampires. I think I saw that mentioned somewhere, but no confirmations. It's about this group of teenagers who go to spend the holidays living with one of the characters' grandmothers, and the grandmother says you have free reign, you can do what you want, but be back before nightfall because you never know what's out there. But of course, they're teenagers, they sneak out, and what's out there may not even be of this world. Oh! Love it. I love the idea of Thief, Liar, Lady by D.L. Soria, who you might know as Destiny Soria from other books. So Thief, Liar, Lady is a Cinderella retelling, but also continuation in some ways. So imagine if Cinderella lives in a world where magic exists, and Cinderella is not the tragic heroine, like she's not the passive princess that you thought she was. In this story, Cinderella used magic and she worked with her stepsisters to manipulate the whole situation around the ball so that the prince would fall in love with her and she would be able to secure her and her sisters' finances for the rest of their life, and they are comfortable. However, things are shaking up now because there's a war on the horizon for the kingdom, and also Cinderella's magic, which has been keeping all of these manipulative elements in check, is starting to fade, and a new prince has shown up on the scene, and he's quite distracting, and he's a hostage, but he's not the prince that she should be pursuing and in love with. So it just sounds like I just love the idea of Cinderella actually working with her stepsisters and her kind of taking control of her own destiny using that magic, and now everything's falling apart. What happens next? I'm so ready to not read retellings of fairy tales, but to read continuations from that retell the concept in a new way. This is going to promise me that. So this was an unsolicited surprise post to me, but I am here for it. So thank you, Orbit. This is Paradise 1 by David Wellington, and it's a sci-fi book. It's a space sci-fi book. Paradise 1 is Earth's first deep space colony, and so people have been going there and they've been living there and it seems to be working just fine, but all of a sudden it goes dark. They stop communicating with Earth, there's no communication, they're not sending anything back. It's like they've just fallen off the grid and nobody knows what's happened, and so a team is constructed to go over there and see what happened. But when they get there, who knows what they'll discover. Listen, space sci-fi, I'm gonna read it. It sounds like it could be creepy, maybe some horror elements, who knows? Horror sci-fi, yes please. Checks all my boxes. The Truth of Tailwater Lake by Emma Carroll. This is a middle grade historical but also futuristic book. I read an Emma Carroll book in February and I really enjoyed it, and this is her latest, so I'm looking forward to continuing on. Thank you to Faber for this. And so this one is set during the summer of 2032, and Truthwater Lake dries up, and when it dries up the ruins of an ancient city are found underneath it. So it's about like a girl from the future, can she discover some of the histories or secrets from a girl who lived in the past. And I think it's going to do a split timeline thing, at least the synopsis on the back suggests that it might, but I need to read it to find out. And I really enjoyed Emma Carroll's writing before. I think she does historical middle grade really well. The hardcover version of Disorientation by Elise Hizaya Chu, which I picked up at a Picador showcase. I have got this in proof, but I'm glad to have a finished copy because I still need to read it. So this one is about I think an Asian woman who kind of is studying poetry at university and discovers a lot more than she expected and delves into the history of this poet, and it takes her on a journey where she discovers more about her identity, who she is, but also some of the like elitism around education in terms of looking at people of colour, poets and authors and that kind of thing. It sounds like it's going to be really interesting, and I've heard really good things, but I just need to pick it up for myself. I know this, and I think it's going to be one of those ones that I really love and champion. I just need to, you know, do the reading thing. I have Wolfwood by Mariana Bayer, and this is a like young adult book. So her mother has a breakdown, and her mother is an artist, and so after her mother has had this breakdown, there's not much money, they're really struggling for money, and an art gallery gives her mother the offer of showing her exhibition that's not quite finished. And so when her child sees that letter come through, she herself answers and says yes please, because she wants the money, she wants to kind of maintain a sense of normalcy for her and her mother who is recovering. But in order to do this, the exhibition needs to be finished, so she takes up the brush herself to try and finish off the exhibition and not tell them that her mother is not the one doing the work. However, maybe there's a good reason that her mother stopped doing the artwork, because as soon as Isabel starts working on the project, Wolfwood kind of comes to life around her, and she struggles to differentiate between Wolfwood and reality. And so that is what this is about. That's why the cover is so artistic and beautiful and gorgeous, and come on, that sounds good. So this one was a bit of a surprise for me. It was a pleasant surprise. Thank you to the publicity company that sent it to me, and that's the Lizzie and Belle Mysteries. So this one in particular is Portraits and Poison by J.T. Williams, and it's illustrated by Simone Douglas. I actually read another book that Simone Douglas illustrated last year, and I could recognize it from the cover. And this is not the first one in the series. It doesn't show me on the spine, but I think it might be the second or third book, and it's about these two black characters in history who solve mysteries together, Lizzie and Belle. So I am looking forward to reading it. It sounds really cute. It's nice to see like black characters getting their historical fiction, and I've been enjoying young adult murder mysteries a lot. I've been reading a few adult thrillers, but I haven't really delved into that genre in the middle grade sense too much, other than Enola Holmes, so I'm gonna delve into it and try it again. I was very excited to pick up at the Picador showcase Is This Okay by Harriet Gibson, and I'd heard about it from another Picador showcase earlier on in the year, so I was very excited to read it. So this one is a bit of a motherhood one, where we're focusing on Harriet Gibson as she's given a diagnosis, which means that if she wants to have children, she needs to start working on it now, and it's going to be very, very difficult to her. So she's in her like mid-20s, I believe, and she's kind of been thrust into this like speed up process of IVF and trying to conceive, and suddenly that's all that her life is about. And at the same time, she's like online on social media and discovering what people say about what she needs to do with her body as a woman, at what time she should do it, and she's kind of got all of this like internet online opinion, and she's going through a very difficult stage in terms of trying to conceive, and she's trying to balance all of that and know if she is okay. And that is what this one is about, and that sounds like something I would read. We have Elsewhere by Yang Gi. This is their short stories. I don't know too much about Yang Gi. I've been eating stories up like nobody's business, but I've heard that the writing is just fantastic. Like Yang Gi's writing is the writing you want to read, and so I've decided I do want to read it. My battery's flashing at me, so forgive me for going fast. We've got The Storm Swimmer by Claire Weiser. This is a middle grade book, and it's got like watery vibes. So one of the characters is kind of stuck at their like grandparents' seaside house for the holidays, and she doesn't want to be there. And then we've got the other character who is this boy that she meets who's swimming underwater, and apparently his parents are far away and he seems a bit magical, and they kind of form a friendship and maybe go on some adventures together. So that sounds like it's going to be fun. And then last and not least, we've got The Quiet and Loud by Helena Fox. Helena Fox has written another book which is very well known, and I've not read anything by Helena Fox myself, but I do want to try some of her young adult writing, and this one sounds like it's about a girl who's just trying to see her way through life. I believe there's something difficult about her relationship to her parents, and her best friend is preparing to be a teenage mum, and she's also really stressed about climate change and the environment and the future. So she's kind of working through all of this relationship difficulty that she's trying to process, and shifting and changing relationships, as well as trying to understand how she feels in the world that she's in, and grappling with her uncertainty around the future. So yeah, and there you have it. Those are quite a few of the books that I've recently hauled in. Please let me know in the comment section down below what was the latest book you either bought, received, borrowed or acquired. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!